Hey guys, it's Yuta. So today I'm going to talk about how 02 from Neon Genesis Darling in the FRANXX speaks Japanese. She is obviously one of the most popular waifu, so it's gonna be interesting. The first thing I noticed about her is she uses boku, which is a masculine first-person pronoun.
でも僕が知ってる中では一番海っぽいところだな。
でも僕が知ってる中では一番海っぽいところだな。But it's the most ocean-like place I know. She's using boku. Japanese has many first-person pronouns including watashi, boku, and ore. Watashi can be gender neutral depending on the level of politeness, but boku and ore are masculine. Some women ask me if they can use boku because their personality isn't very feminine. But if you identify yourself as a woman, the answer is no, especially if you are an adult. A common exception to this is when you write a song, because many female singers use boku when they write songs. But when they speak Japanese, they don't use boku. Because of this, when a non-human character like Kyube speaks Japanese, we can kind of assume their gender, even though their species might not have gender at all.
僕と契約して魔法少女になってほしいんだ。
僕と契約して魔法少女になってほしいんだ。I want you to make contracts with me and become magical girls. And because he's using boku, we kind of assume that he's a boy. But in the world of anime, many female characters use boku because anime is different from real life, no matter how much you wish it wasn't. But anyway, among recent anime, I can think of Echidna from Re:Zero as an example. Interestingly, both 02 and Echidna aren't exactly human, but there's also plenty of human characters who use boku. And sometimes there's no apparent reason for this. Another interesting example is Tsugumi from Asabi Asobase, which is a great anime, so you should watch it. She also uses boku, which confuses the main characters because they were suspecting that she might be transgendered. So sometimes using boku might imply something, even in an anime. But these nuances are often lost in translation because English doesn't have this kind of ambiguously gendered first-person pronoun. So if you want to learn Japanese with me, I will teach you the kind of Japanese that real-life Japanese people today actually speak, which will also help you understand anime. So click the link in the description and subscribe. And another signature word of 02 is darling.
素敵だったよ。ダーリン。
素敵だったよ。Darling. You are incredible, darling. Now, darling is of course an English word. Japanese people know this word, but it's quite uncommon for Japanese people to use this kind of pet names in today's Japan. So it's quite understandable that the characters didn't understand what it meant, especially in this anime where they're not taught about romantic relationships. The story shows that Hiro might have taught this word to 02, and he might have learned this word from the book. So at least we have an explanation of why she uses this word. She reminds me of a character who also has horns and says darling. Lam from Urusei Yatsura. Another thing I noticed about 02 is, despite the fact that she uses a masculine pronoun, her overall speech pattern isn't very masculine.
これ甘くて美味しいよ。一緒に食べよ。
これ甘くて美味しいよ。一緒に食べよ。This is really nice and sweet. Let's eat together. This is the kind of gender-neutral speech pattern that people actually use in real life. But in anime, a lot of characters have masculine or feminine speech patterns. Listen to Goro.
お、後でな。ヒロ、気にすんなよ。
お、後でな。ヒロ、気にすんなよ。Sure, see you later. Hiro, don't worry about it. O, de na, nayo are masculine expressions. And when I say they sound masculine, the context is important because words like de, na, yo can totally be gender neutral in other contexts. And for feminine speech pattern, listen to Miku.
わかってるわよ。それくらい。
わかってるわよ、それくらい。You don't have to tell me. And this わよ sounds feminine. So you can make 02's line. これ、甘くて美味しいよ. A masculine version would be これ、甘くて美味しいぜ. And the feminine version would be これ、甘くて美味しいわよ. And you can create many different versions of the same sentence. But 02 mostly doesn't use these gendered expressions. She actually sounds pretty natural for an anime character, except for using words like 僕 or ダリン. Listen to this.
ほら、やっぱり僕らも出た方がいいんじゃない？
ほら、やっぱり僕らも出た方がいいんじゃない？ See, we really should go too, don't you think?
ところでさ、さっき入港した輸送機、誰が乗ってるの？
ところでさ、さっき入港した輸送機、誰が乗ってるの？ By the way, who just landed in that transport plane? This could easily be real-life Japanese. Many guys talk like this. And if you replace 僕 with 私, which would sound feminine at this level of politeness, they could easily be the kinds of sentences that women would say too. And come to think about it, her voice acting isn't as exaggerated as typical anime characters either.
いいよ、02のままで。
いいよ、02のままで。I'm fine with 02. Did you notice there's not much ups and downs in her intonation? Compare this to Miku.
っていうか、まだあの女と乗るの諦めてないわけ。
っていうか、まだあの女と乗るのは諦めてないわけ? Wait, has he still not given up on riding with that girl? Maybe this point is a little bit subtle, but the first time I heard 02 speak, I noticed that her intonations aren't as exaggerated as typical anime characters. And in the context of anime, characters who speak like anime characters are the normal ones. So if an anime character speaks like a real-life person with less exaggerated tones and speech patterns, they actually kind of stand out. And I find 02 is like that. She comes across as detached and less enthusiastic than typical anime characters. But in terms of speech patterns, she's actually closer to real-life Japanese people than many other anime characters. But apart from voice acting, many of these nuances are lost in translation. So if you want to really understand anime like Darling in the Franxx, you need to learn Japanese. And if you want to learn Japanese with me, I will teach you the kind of Japanese that real-life Japanese people today actually speak, which can be different from the kind of Japanese that textbooks and apps teach you because it can be unnatural and old-fashioned. So click the link and subscribe to my email group, Japanese with Yuta. Alright, see you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.